goal! Yes, 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 yes!
The wrong clip there.
First rule of live radio, Neil. Never talk through the intro.
That was liquid football!
Hello, everybody. It's our old friends at Monday Madness, and welcome to a special episode, if you will, of the brand new season of the That Was Liquid Football podcast. Myself, Jonathan,
Yeah, we
Neil.
decided to get serious about this shit.
Absolutely. Myself, Neil, and Burkbot joining you as ever to what is our official season preview of the Premier League, which is happening tomorrow or like later at whenever this goes up. It's a bit fucking weird, lads, isn't it? Like, we were just talking about the end of the season about 4 weeks ago. It's a bit weird. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I was getting over the catastrophic series of international dull piles of crap. And now suddenly it doesn't actually feel real that the season starts tomorrow.
It doesn't make sense. Like,
it's actually really early. We're on at 12 tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, you're the first match. You're up against Scott Parker's Fulham, which is very exciting.
Ooh.
Yes.
Scott Parker's Fulham.
Indeed. So before we jump into the season preview, a little bit of housekeeping because we have some news. Don't worry, we're not sponsored. We haven't been picked up by anybody because, Jesus Christ, why would you do that? But we are going to let you know that we are going to be doing this as a weekly podcast from now on. It's not because we have more spare time. In fact, if anything, it's the opposite. It's actually suiting us right more to do like a weekly hour show than a bi-weekly 3-hour show at the minute. So we're basically going to do this in a much smaller way, small and often, basically, like my bowel movements. So we're just going to keep it that way, and it's the best comparison I have, to be honest. Very similar in tone as well. So we're still going to have all of our regular segments like VAR Wars and the P45 crew and the Hand of Cod, but they're just going to be kind of like rotated around a month because it's a very stressful period now of football. So we have to rotate our players and rotate our segments, you know. And also that, and we don't want to be here for an hour and a half talking bollocks when we can just do it much quicker than that. So that being said, guys, let's jump into our season preview. We don't really have a structure to this one. Basically, feel free to discuss what's caught your eye in the off-season, if you can call it that.
A couple of things. Chelsea deciding the rules don't apply. So they're spending like they did when Abramovich first came in. They've spunked 200 at time of recording.
Yes.
Because this window doesn't close until almost the start of October.
6th of October is the
6th of October. Yeah. So as at that time of recording, they've spunked 200 million.
Yes.
Up the wall, and they're still looking to replace their 74 million pound keeper.
About that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
and then they're quoted 80 million for Declan Rice, so that's their next target.
So yeah, so
so the thing is, that actually makes sense though, because what I didn't realize, obviously they had the transfer ban.
How does that make sense?
No, I'll tell you why, right? I was trying to figure out where they're getting the money from, but would you believe they're balancing it, because they obviously they didn't get the money. They didn't get to spend the Hazard money from last season, right? Which was a lot. But the Alvaro Morata deal, remember he was on loan to Atletico. Yeah. That was a 2-year deal, and it was made permanent this season. So they got 60 million euros out of that. So they've actually been spending like adequate amount of money.
And also, it's just the way that it's a mad accounting trick that what football clubs do with transfers and how they sell a player.
Yeah.
Because when they sell a player, that's like one lump sum onto their books, obviously. When they buy a player, it's actually it's called amortization. So they spread the cost of the contract. So let's say the 70 million for Kepa, they didn't pay 70 million up. Well, on their balance sheet, they won't have paid 70 million up front. He signed something like a 7-year deal, didn't he?
Yeah, cumulatively a 7-year deal. Yeah,
7-year deal. So actually, on their balance books, he will only show up as an expenditure of 10 million quid a year, which is far less. That's essentially what we're doing with the Pepe deal. Pepe.
I was going to say, that sounds very familiar to what we were doing with Pepe, that it wasn't like the 72 million, it was like 20 million up front plus every so often more.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's the main reason why we haven't already signed Partey, is because Atletico are demanding his buyout clause up front, which we're like, we kind of don't want to do that because we don't have 60 million quid down the back of the couch, you know, and that's not normally how we do it, you know. So normally how we do it is we sign him to a 5-year deal and pay him like 12 million quid a year, but they want everything up front, and we're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Again, like, yeah, Chelsea have been kind of one of the main kind of like talking points of the season, because they have basically just like they're like that prick in poker that like has a hand and just goes, we draw, and then just like, okay, I've got some cards.
Yeah,
I'll
I can't
raise.
spell anything with these cards. Yeah, no, it's fucking it's terrible. Like they're really taking the piss out of the fact that the FFP regulations are going to be relaxed due to the pandemic.
Yes,
and also
very interesting for some clubs in the league as well.
The other one as well is Everton.
Yeah,
well.
I was about to bring them up.
Rodriguez. What the fuck? That's like, if I thought if Everton were such a cognitive dissonance to me before with Carlo Ancelotti as their manager, which I still don't believe. Seeing James Rodriguez, like I still remember.
Like I think that move is peak 2020. In fairness,
it really is, isn't it?
Actually, no. What was just been announced just before we started recording, the Alex Morgan going to Spurs is
that's 2020.
The Spurs women's team signing one of the most iconic female players around right now. I think maybe in terms of iconism, only second maybe to Rapinoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Morgan's a far better player as well, so like it's just mental.
To be fair, like it is just a matter of time. Rapinoe just picks whatever she thinks is the best liberal club in the league and just goes to them. Like it's gonna be obviously it's Brighton, because it's never not gonna be Brighton. But the point notwithstanding is that like just that's a dissonance to seeing her like with the Seagulls. You know.
In all fairness, it's 2020, man. Literally anything could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It could happen.
Really,
if James Rodriguez is going to be lining out for Everton.
I'll see that.
Anything can fucking happen.
I'll see that and raise you Draxler to Leeds, which could still happen.
Fucking hell. That is just someone taking the absolute piss.
Until I see him in the jersey, I don't believe it.
I'm just saying.
To be honest with you, I've been seeing Ancelotti in the Everton dugout for a full season, and I still don't believe it. So fuck it. No, listen to me.
Yeah.
And also, but my final one that I really, really liked was, ironically enough, was Doherty to Spurs.
Yeah.
I have never been happier to see an Irishman sign for Spurs ever.
Really?
Not even Robbo. Not even good. The great Robbie Keane. Playing for his boyhood club.
Agent Doherty.
It's because it helped. It's true to my heart. I'm actually wearing this jersey right now because Doherty was a former Bowes player, Bowes for life, and Bowes had a 10% sell-on clause in his contract.
That they did, yes.
Bowes are going to get 1.4 million sterling at a time into a league. That's a huge. Normally, that's a huge amount of money, but also, like nobody's going to be earning any money in the Irish league. They don't earn any money from television rights, really.
Yeah.
So like they're literally going to be the only team with a black number in their bank balance.
Am I right in saying that is actually technically the biggest transfer fee for an Irish player? Because I remember like Rovers have sold players.
Surely Robbie Keane went for loads.
No, as in for the League of Ireland, because like a lot of the League of Ireland players, when they go to the Premier League or to other English teams, they're very for like nominal fees or they're out of contracts. Like I can remember
Coleman went from Sligo Rovers for something like 60 grand.
That's what I'm saying. So
it has to be like deal of the fucking millennium.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm thinking, like, because if that's the case, then, like, is that technically the biggest fee for a League of Ireland club to receive?
Biggest fee for a League of Ireland club.
That John Delaney hasn't, wasted before it even got to the club's pockets, like.
Oh, don't worry. He took his hooker's allowance out of that. Don't worry about that.
That's mad, actually. Here, also 1.4 million as well. Like to earn that in the League of Ireland, Bowes would have to win it like 15 times in a row.
Or qualify for the Champions League or something.
Yeah, or get into the Champions League, which they narrowly missed out on, bollocks.
Well, details. Still though, Rovers Milan. This is something to look forward to. There's something heartbreaking. There really is something heartbreaking about having Zlatan in Tala, literally 10 minutes away from where I am, and not being able to see him.
I just fuck
the coronavirus.
As much as I like it, because I've had guys that have been telling me, it's like, oh no, you cheer for the Irish team because they never do shit like this. I just can't cheer for Rovers.
Look, we'll leave your primal prejudices aside. Obviously, I mean,
no. I'm like 90% primal prejudice right here.
I know. We've noticed after doing these podcasts. But yeah, moving on. The curious thing is transfers has been kind of one of the major talking points of the season, because obviously in a sense it's still only the start of the window, but yet the season's starting tomorrow. So in a way, the clubs are going to have so much more information to work off, but also there's going to be a lot of panic buying next month, isn't there? When you look at it,
there's going to be an extreme amount. I mean, there is normally an overlap between the start of the season and the transfer window, but it's never been
2 weeks, by and large.
Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, didn't they trim it back? Didn't we trim? They trimmed it back last season, wasn't it?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone was giving out that they didn't have their squads organised in time, so let's give them more time.
So now they have a full fucking month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
You can imagine a team like I'm not going to say Fulham because they always do this, but Fulham, you can imagine them just panicking and just signing, okay, let's just call someone from Atletico Madrid. I don't care who they have, just sign somebody from Atletico Madrid, all right? Just, I don't know, fuck it, call All Elite Wrestling. Just sign somebody from them, okay? John Moxley, yeah, fucking bring him in, great defender. Come on, just get him in. You can imagine
when you've got Wolves signing shit hot fucking Portuguese players. Also, actually, funny enough, on the Matt Doherty deal, probably the most Jorge Mendes involved deal in history.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he pretty much owns Wolves. The owners of Wolves have a stake in his company. He is Jose Mourinho's agent.
Mm-hmm.
He is also Matt Doherty's agent.
Is he also a shareholder in Bose?
I was like, that's literally the only thing he was missing out on, was having a hand in the boat thing. Because it was literally, honestly, he would have had to have held that contract negotiation in a hall of mirrors. Because it's
it's just him in the room wearing different hats.
Yeah. He walks out of an empty room going, he drove a fucking hard bargain.
Just
see him punching, shadow boxing himself.
Exactly, yeah. It's him doing it shadow puppets up against the wall. And then he turned into a crocodile and had no idea what to do.
Then he started speaking Portuguese and I couldn't understand him because I'm Spanish.
Absolutely, yeah.
How many, apart from the likes of Chelsea and Everton, what other transfers have kind of caught your eye in this kind of pre-season, if you like? Because obviously you guys have signed Gabriel, which is a pretty significant acquisition for you guys, but by and large you've kind of just consolidated what you had last season, Marie, Cedric, and Ceballos back for another year.
Yeah, Ceballos back, I think it's actually one of the big ones there, because it now means that the best central midfielder at Arsenal is now no longer Mikel Arteta. If we didn't get Ceballos back, I wouldn't have put money against him actually doing a full player manager thing.
Going Brian Robbins on it, yeah. Brian Robson.
Fuck this, Xhaka, you can't string a fucking pass on. Hand me my jersey.
He just strips off, he just Superman's it,
yeah.
That really awful 2016 jersey where it's super tight.
Yes.
He has that underneath his clothes all the time. Just in case. You see the collar pops out every now and then, so you can tell it's there. It's like when Clark Kent forgot to change.
Yeah, well, we've done good. Gabriel Magalhaes is quite good. We need for everybody complaining about all the centre backs we have. We need them because 5 of them are fucking injured.
It's good to see. It's good to get your injury crisis out early, lad. To be honest, it's good to
everything is kind of pointing towards the fact that Arteta wants to field the back four, which is handy because we've only got about 4 fucking defenders left.
Yep, perfect. All part of the plan.
So we're going to have to, and funnily enough, all we've got is a left back, a right back, and 2 centre backs. So it's very possible we might be starting the season with Gabriel and Saliba as our centre back. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd have to say like a few kind of the transfers that kind of caught my eye. One of them was from Leeds, signing Rodrigo from Valencia. Now, like Rodrigo's a player I know relatively well from Football Manager, but as like as a player who's very, very similar to Firmino in how he plays. Like he doesn't get much love from the Spanish team because like he's not a natural goal scorer, and like in Spanish teams past, you kind of needed a focal point like a David Villa and a Torres up front. When Rodrigo wasn't quite like that, he used to play in pockets and used to be quite a smart player. And when I saw this, I just saw like Leeds are safe. You know, I had that kind of instinct already. It's like, fuck, this is a huge, like a massive signing for Leeds. Because from what I've watched, of what I've seen them last season, they play absolutely beautiful football all around the pitch with players that are not necessarily natural fits. They just made it work. But the one like kind of sore like thumb from that was Paddy Bamford, who doesn't really have that much of an output. And really, he is there just because he has a good pass in him, not necessarily as a shooter. Rodrigo is like such a
good hold-up play as well.
Yeah, like that's really what he's in the team for. And in a way, that's because that's how like a 36-year-old Pablo Hernandez of Swansea fame ended up as their club top scorer, because he was able to clean up everything that Bamford was missing. But even still, like the fact that he's in there now and he's able to like, and he's really good at like playing that centre forward role, like Firmino, like Joe Ellington in a way. He's just able to kind of pick those passes and pick those spaces. But he does have a good like clinical side to him as well, if he's allowed to be that. So when I saw that, I just saw like that's a fucking incredible signing for Leeds, because that's a player that like is so specialised, and especially now where like you have to really work at finding a player like that. And for somewhere like Leeds, and in a sense Bielsa, to draw them in, I think is a huge coup. And I hope he really does well for it, because I think he's a smashing player.
Yeah, well, anything's better than Bamford, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so, yeah, like Bamford, I'm just annoyed he stole the starting place from Nketiah, and I don't understand how.
I think it was more of a case of, due to the fact that Arsenal were so adamant about to Leeds saying you will not have a chance to sign this guy. Did you get me? Like, I suppose like, while on one hand I am quite happy that they did that, I'm also thinking, it's like, have you not just hamstrung that boy there? Because if you're gonna feel like a player, like it was similar before we killed the loan deal to Rob Holding, there was a similar thing of that as well. Like we were gonna make it clear to Newcastle, we're just sending him to you so he can get game time. You will never ever have an opportunity to sign him unless you come in unless the Saudis do take over and you offer like a fucking literal dump truck of cash for him. So I think maybe that kind of folded into it. They were never going to rely on a player that they were never going to be able to get.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I do get that. But when like Bamford, like I watched a handful of Leeds matches in the Championship, and the amount of chances he wasted.
Yeah, no, he's hilariously fucking
inept at his job. Yeah. Yes.
The main message from this podcast is: don't declare for Ireland, Patrick Bamford. We don't need you. We literally struggle on with McGoldrick and fucking Hogan. Scott Hogan.
We've got plenty of people on that team who'll miss all the chances we can give them.
Exactly.
Connolly, I'm actually like contemplating putting him into my fantasy football team right now, and I was like, well, do I want that heartbreak every week?
Come on, you're better than this. Don't.
Yeah. Like, I could get Flung, or I can get what's his face, Obafemi. I was like, I wonder if Obafemi's going to get any game time this season.
It's hard to say. Like, I mean, like it certainly seems to be the case that, like, I suppose for like the midfield teams, I was actually funny that you mentioned this, because like a lot of the midfield teams like have not been able to do that type of business, like West Ham or Palace or even Southampton. Like they do kind of need to start looking at their academy and seeing who they can get in. Palace in particular, apparently Roy Hodgson, like he's made it very clear that he wants to like make the team a little more youthful, which is ironic considering he's the oldest manager in the league. But you know, it's good to see these down with the kids. You know, fucking Steve Buscemi style.
No, wait, but did you say like West Ham had done well in this transfer window?
No. What I was saying was that they like Palace and West Ham, they're going to try and have to look at the academy for solutions because they can't like get anywhere with transfers. And
well, West Ham they've gone well with transfers. They've managed to get rid of a load of players that they really desperately needed.
Yeah. Like I was about to make this
point.
And
they're looking at terminating Jack Wilshere's contract. According to Twitter earlier on today.
Don't worry, all they have to do is try and play him for 90 minutes. He'll kill himself.
It's ghastly. It's so weird. Like there's definitely like it's not a happy camp at West Ham. Like you can clearly tell. Like
I've got a good hot take on them.
Yeah, I'm sure we all do coming soon in the next segment. But the curious thing about it is that like the main kind of talking point from them was the selling of Diangana, who is not a player that like did really well at West Ham, but he did incredibly well at West Brom, where he came out. That was kind of his coming out party in a football sense. And the fact that like West Ham immediately had him back and can slot him into a midfield role that is lacking because there's no Wilshere there. There's no like Lanzini struggling, Felipe Anderson kind of dropping tools. It has to be said.
All of these names they make me sad when I hear them.
I know, and that's the. But what makes it
like
worse,
you're just listing different words for sadness.
You're listing my broken dreams.
Absolutely.
But that's the kind of situation they're in now, and in a way, like, when I do see the likes of a Palace and West Ham struggling to kind of get people in, like in fairness, the Palace have done very well to get Eze in. I think he's a cracking player, but again, how much he's going to do with the strike force they have, that remains to be seen. But he's a good acquisition. But when I look at a team like say Burnley or West Ham, and they physically can't get players in, and then I see how well Newcastle have done actually getting players in, I'm just thinking this is actually really weird. Like the players they've got in are actually okay. They're solid enough signings.
Newcastle.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like the fucking. It's like the Legion of the Damned. There, it's just nothing but relegated players. You know,
but the cheap though, that was the thing. Like they were cheap enough to go, and they are good players in the vacuum. Just they got relegated, so it's up to them to like fucking like get back and do it. Like you know,
absolutely. Like I was surprised. Like Steve Bruce will get something out of them. It's hilarious. Yeah. Like Newcastle, they'll be fine. I don't think they won't suffer as badly as they did last season.
I don't think so. I think a lot of teams have regressed in that time, and they've kind of said the same for me. You know.
I would agree. Like they've got the likes of the Longcraft brothers who've had now a season to kind of bed themselves in. Yeah. And I think they can only kind of grow there because I do see them having like a high ceiling in terms of what they can achieve.
Yeah, they do seem to be well touted, all right. I'm curious to know the team that were kind of courting them for a long time is Man United, and they seem to have kind of solved that midfield quandary with Van de Beek, who is a good enough signing for them. In fairness, like it does seem that United kind of have their midfield and forward sorted. Now it's just a matter of the other side of the pitch, the defenders and the goalkeepers. Like, like what do you make of this goalkeeper quandary they have? Because if they've signed Henderson to a 5-year deal, so he's obviously the long-term number one. But like, is this year the year you sack off De Gea, or do you give him another season to kind of wilt away?
I think it's a win-win for them. Like. It's a win-win. Like Henderson will, like what they've got a good opportunity. They've got they're both solid keepers.
Yeah.
You know, so you give De Gea a chance first off because he's still your nominal number one. He's got the number one jersey, so he's first choice. So what you do there is you give him a chance to prove himself, but all the while you're just talking to Henderson and going like, you know what, if this guy fucks up, like you're straight in. So Henderson's going to be like training like an absolute beast.
Madman, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's going to be training mad. Look, you're mad. And you know that once he gets in between the sticks, like you're going to need a fucking excavator to get him out of there. So like from United, it's win-win. Like it's fucking win-win. And also, I'm not going to kick up a fuss. If De Gea keeps up like some some run of really good form, which he can do because he's a fantastic keeper, Henderson's not going to complain, if you get me. Like, it's not like the situation we have with Leno and Martinez, whereas now Martinez is like, I know I'm good enough to be a number one here. I want to be the number one. Or at the very least, I don't want to be just dropped just because you've paid more money for Leno.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a really competent number two who's willing to be a number two. You know, so and like he's
for the time being,
to a 5-year deal, so they obviously the futures for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of brings us back up the table a little bit with the title contenders, as it were. Obviously, Liverpool and Manchester City are going to be in the conversation this year. Or I assume they are anyway. Do you see any other clubs kind of gate crashing that party this season?
Chelsea.
No.
Okay, interesting.
Ooh.
So do you see it as a 2-horse race again, Burkbot?
Yeah. I still think there's too much of a gap between the top two and everyone else. I know Chelsea have spent all the money, but they are Frank Lampard's Chelsea and not the Chelsea of old. And Frank Lampard's Chelsea are like he's had a season to kind of bed in his kind of style of play, but by the end of the season, could anyone actually point out what was Chelsea's plan?
Yeah, no, it was eerily similar of Arsenal under Emery in that, like, we were like, after 20 something, after a full season, we're like, what the fuck are we trying to do? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like there was no kind of cohesion to, like, obviously new manager or whatever, like, you're going to have ups and downs throughout the season, but there wasn't even a common thread because he chopped and changed his teams as if he didn't know what was going on. Very similar to what Emery did. Like, it's like he hadn't figured out what his best 11, and maybe, like, I wasn't, I suppose, privy to what was going on behind the scenes, but, like, maybe there was stuff going on, but injuries and whatnot, but I just feel like he never put out the right 11 for any team.
I think my main criticism of Chelsea last season was their horrendous defending from every aspect. Like, I've never seen like a team that's like so blessed with natural height, like Rudiger, Zuma, Christensen, who's 6'5", Tomori, who's like a fucking tank of a guy for whoever's, like, he's only 21 years old, and not one of them can head a ball clear. Like, not one of them can clear a corner or a free kick. Their set piece organization is atrocious. They can't decide whether to man mark or to zone mark. You know. Yeah, and then the goalkeeper. That with a keeper
and then he combined that with a keeper who can't command shit.
Yeah, this is it. Like,
so, like, yeah,
it's bizarre. Like, I was having conversations with Chelsea fans who were going like, "Oh, we're gonna do so well next season because you've got all these front fours." Like, the front four wasn't your problem. You could have easily worked with a front four of Hudson-Odoi, Abraham, fucking Mount, and
well, if they had a proper coach, they could have.
I think so.
They can't. So, like,
yeah.
I think the reason why they've reinforced up front is to make the team as manager independent as possible. So, like, you've got teams that are manager dependent and manager independent. So, for instance, like, you go back to, like, I know it's a bit of a fucking leap in comparison, but, like, you go back to, like, early 2010, 2012 Barcelona team, like the team everybody says you could put a tin of Spam in charge of and they'd have won the league. So that was a team that coach independent because they had such great players. And I think Chelsea now are a very coach dependent team, and unfortunately they got Frank Lampard, who's a rookie and not actually that good a coach, so fuck it. So what they've done is they've just basically gone elite, you know. Werner apparently in the preseason has been scoring for fucking absolute fun.
Yeah, supposedly so.
So they're just trying to get the team to just click itself. I think they kind of realised that Big Frank's not really up to the job. So what they're doing is they're laying the bedrock for another manager to come in afterwards and go, like, this team is clicked. We need you to shift into a higher gear. Ergo, which is what Barcelona did with Pep. They had a stunning team, fucking cracking stars. They needed somebody to get them into that higher gear, and that's what Pep did.
My hot take is that old Frankie boy will be the first to be gone this season.
Oh, I was gonna hopefully drop at the end. I think he's the first man to get the sack.
Curious enough, mine one was going to be Jose.
I was going to go for Jose as well.
Yeah,
I don't think Spurs will sign a good keeper. I don't think Spurs will sign a good striker between now and the end.
I can't see that happening.
Transfer. I can't see that happening. They're going to be heavily reliant on Kane again. They'll be sussed. They'll be well sussed. Doherty's not going to take them further anyway. I think Doherty probably won't even get in ahead of our rear.
Like if he stays, in fairness.
Even if he stays, yeah. So my one was either him or probably.
I think Moyes. Moyes. I think will walk. Like I think like. No,
there's a difference between sacked and walked. I think Moyes will quit because for all his talk of him being a winner and that's what he does. He's walked away from a fair number of jobs now.
He has
but I reckon Bruce is taking the king shilling everywhere. He's taking Ashley's money. He's taking Ashley's money, and Ashley doesn't like spending fucking cash.
No.
So Bruce has made him spend money, and if Newcastle don't hit the ground running, which I kind of don't think they will, they're not going to get relegated now. I don't think they're going to hit the ground running, even though I do think that at the end they will finish at a higher position that they did last season, which is only a couple of weeks ago. I reckon Bruce will. Actually, fuck it. I'll switch from Jose. I reckon Steve Bruce. Just so we've got three different options.
That's good. I like that because I'm going to keep that as part of the predictions. A little tease into the crystal football happening in a few minutes. To finish off this preview, then, I was going to ask you like what teams, because again, this will lead into our predictions table. What teams do you feel is going to surprise you both positively and negatively? Like, what teams do you feel as like, oh wow, I like they're up the top, or which teams do you think is going to sink like a stone?
The fucking grid.
I'm going to say Wolves are going to surprise me by being a thing.
Good thing.
Have you spent this preseason learning what Wolves are?
Well, now that Watford are gone,
yes,
aren't they?
Yes. They're playing Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough as we speak.
Oh Jesus!
Soprano's mother.
Yes. I'll let me just check the scores right now because I imagine Warnock's probably winning.
Honestly, Burke, but I thought the only way you knew which one was the way they've got the big tanker of arm grease outside.
You can't really see that from the video.
Traore is in my fantasy football team.
It's in your fantasy first off, let's be honest.
You could have just left out football team and he's in a...
I know.
You can start to hear, lads. They're actually leading 1-0. Craig Cathcart.
Fucking hell.
11-minute goal. Wow. The Watford, the generically named manager revolution is on at Watford.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
The march is back.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think Wolves are going to do quite well again this season, and push into the top four.
To be fair, they've got no Europa League on, so they only have 28 matches to worry about.
And they got that little shit-hot youngster, Fabio Silva.
Yes, we'll see how that goes with him. And more on the way, I think they signed two lads on loan from Porto. Alex Telles is one. And I can't remember the other one. I've heard of him before, and I was like, "Fuck, that's a great signing for Wolves." And I can't remember his name now. That's really annoying. That's really going to bother me, because obviously his Portuguese thing is working for Wolves, so he just said, "Fuck it, just sign more."
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yeah. Would you have a show for a team you think is going to really disappoint this season, though, Burkball?
Would it be cheating to say Everton?
No. Because in fairness, Everton disappoint themselves every season.
Yeah.
Well, it's cheating.
Yeah.
No, I was just looking there because I was like, I wonder what way is James Rodriguez going to fit into this team? And it's like, he's got no competition in midfield. Like, Sigurdsson is the only other midfielder that could possibly string a pass together in that midfield at Everton.
And he's shot.
And I think they're awful. For in quotation marks, big team. I think they have the weakest of the big team squads. I know they're very, 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 very lower mid-table.
Yes.
But Everton would be considered, I suppose, a previous top 6 contender of like a few years ago.
In the dark days of the 2000s, when all we had was Alan Kirbishley. Those were dark days indeed. How about yourself, Neil? Have you got any kind of surprises and disappointments in mind?
Yeah, I think the team that will surprise everybody. I actually think Arsenal will surprise everybody and get back top 4.
Okay, interesting.
Oh no.
I don't think people are ready for this.
I'm going with all.
No.
See, this is the bad thing about FA Cups. This is the bad thing about FA Cup wins and Community Shield wins and all that shit. It gives you the hope, and I've got the hope. Yeah.
The hope is what kills you.
The hope is what kills you, and I've got it, and I fucking hate it, but I can't because I like it so much. It's like fucking really, really sugary poison, and I just can't. I'm like a lab rat. I can't stop drinking it. So yeah, I reckon like everybody's kind of expecting Arsenal to hit 6th, 5th, 6th. I don't think so. I reckon we'll nail top 4. Interesting.
And okay. And your disappointment if you had to pick one? Spurs, obviously.
Arsenal.
Sorry, I should have differentiated between the Arsenal that's in my head and the Arsenal that I actually see with my eye.
Yes. Very important distinction.
Disappointment. Well, it depends. I'm like, if Spurs fail horrendously, that's not a disappointment for me.
No, a disappointment to themselves, perhaps.
You'll be able to hear my laughter from the fucking moon. I think, you know what this feels into my thing. I think, this will feed into my hot take. West Ham. I reckon they're gonna go down.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, interesting. That leads on to my
we'll get more into that when we get our hot take section, baby.
Yes, indeed we do.
Fresh out of fucking oven.
I'm gonna go this ties a little bit into my league table a bit. Like there is gonna be a little bit of movement up the top, but I don't think there's gonna be that much. I'll say what I'm gonna say is I think it's gonna tighten up a little bit in terms of like there won't be a runaway winner like last season or the year before. I think it is gonna be a more competitive fight. But I think what's going to happen is I think there is going to be like an established relegation scrap. I think some teams are going to get themselves out of it. So I am actually going to tip Brighton to get themselves well away of that relegation scrap. Because I just look at the team, the reason I say this because I kind of did out everyone's teams, their strongest 11s. And Brighton has a decent enough team because they seem to have bought in a good bit into what Potter's doing with his back three system and like a little bit of overlap with centre backs, not quite Sheffield United style, but just a little bit, just coax and teasing a bit. And they've done really good business. Joel Veltman coming in from a bargain, fucking like 900 grand from Ajax, and he's a pretty decent centre back, He wasn't first choice at Ajax, hence why he was going cheap. And then to get Adam Lallana on a free as well is a great deal for Brighton themselves. It's just a matter if he can keep fit. I don't know how he'll fit into them just yet because he can play like a number of different styles. But I think like if he's playing a number 6 like Jorginho style, he'll be absolutely superb for them because they've got plenty of attacking midfielders. They've got Malumbi. Obviously, we have vested interest in him. Pascal Gross is still there, obviously. And the Argentine lad, Alexis McAllister, they have a lot of high hopes on him. And he did kind of show
that amazingly Argentinian name of Alistair.
Alexis McAllister. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the Danish winger we signed, George Lewis.
Yeah.
Or the Danish legend, Thomas Delaney.
Yeah, Danish. I think actually the winger we signed was Norwegian.
Yeah, I think Norwegian.
One of those Nordic countries, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. Potter's got a lot of choices. He's actually got. Funny enough, when you were talking about their starting 11, I was actually quite. For what little I was looking at the Brighton squad, I was looking at the depth. They've got a squad.
They have, yeah.
Got a starting 11. It's not like last season where he had a starting 11 that pretty much had to start every game, or he was down to scraps. He's actually got a surprising amount of depth there.
Yeah, because the thing is, like they've done like transfers under the radar, and they develop players really, really well. Like they've had a trouble at right back for a long time since Chris Hughton's days, and then suddenly they signed Tariq Lamptey from Chelsea, like right under everyone's noses. And Chelsea, you could tell, were really fucking livid about that because they wanted him in the squad this season, and now you can see how he's doing at Brighton, and he just bombs forward. Like, again, maybe not a good defender per se, but that's why you have a back three. Like that's why they have they're playing the way they are. And I have to say, like, they've got Ben White in, they've signed a new contract on him, and I'm disappointed with that personally because I would have wanted him at Liverpool myself this season because he's a very, very good defender. But I have to say, he's a massive upgrade on Shane Duffy. As much as that's going to
fucking Leeds try and sign White for something like 25 million.
25 million because he was on loan with them last season. He was the last person they wanted to get from last season, and they couldn't get it. Hence why they went for from Koch from Clone. But even then, like he's a super signing, and like he plays so well in the back three because he is exactly like terror strength, but brings it forward as well, which means that you don't have to risk like Lewis Dunk doing it or Dan Burn, the 6'8" fucking left back who's just stop, just have a word with yourself, lad. But I think the last
man over there.
It's unnatural. It's actually unnatural, and he actually does like he overlaps. A 6 or 7 man doing overlaps. What the fuck is that? Somebody tell me he's not doing this.
Like getting outrun by a lamppost.
It's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong, right? I think the only thing that Brighton need to do is they need to get if they get some striker, a partner for Maupay, I think they have a solid team in the Premier League, a solid like contender for the top half. There's a lot of talk that Ian Brewster is a subject of a bid. 25
but they have Aaron Connolly. They have Connolly there, don't they?
They do have Connolly there, yeah.
Yeah, but he's like Irish and all, but he is a pack of shit.
But we don't know. See, the problem with him is that it's hard to see how he'll develop because like he's obviously going to get game time.
The thing about him is that he's a striker who can't score.
Yes.
And that is fundamentally like the Bamford of it all. Why bother?
Yes. I do love how they were turning Bamford into a verb. I think it suits him really well.
Yes.
A lasting legacy.
You've just Bamford it.
Yes, very much so.
Change approved.
Change approved. Just kicking off the season in style, lads. We're actually going to have awards of who the Bamford is this season, so tune in for that.
Yeah.
Change approved. So, in terms of disappointments, I've got a few choice shouts here, right? But I'm going to go for Leicester. And the reason I'm saying that is because look at how they were like after the lockdown. Holy shit, they had third place in the bag. Whatever way you looked at it, like after like
no, like they're like people. You'd have bet your house prior to the lockdown. You'd have bet your house in them finishing top 4, and nobody would have blinked batted an eyelid at you.
Yeah, and the sheer fact that they went from third to 5th or 6th, even whatever they finished off as, was just embarrassing, really, when you look at it, considering how much of a gap there was to the chasing pack.
I think only Palace had a worse restart than them, and Palace were literally out to lose every game.
Yeah, I think
they only got like 4 points from a potential. They got 4 points from a potential 27.
I think you're right with that.
That run of form of like was just hilariously bad.
It was 8 straight losses broken up by a draw.
I need to change it up though. They change it up.
You got to mix it up. You get stale then relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So then, with that in mind, lads, it's time that we jump into our Premier League table predictions as we take one long gaze into the crystal football.
Oh, he's got a jingle for this as well.
I've always got a jingle for this. Any excuse to play the Crystal Maze music on this podcast, I will take.
I do listen to it normally, like just out and about.
I may have a drum and yes
on infinite repeat. It's just one song.
I may have a drum and bass remix of that music. I cannot confirm. But, so we're going to do what we did last season and make bold predictions for the Premier League as it is. I'll actually show you here so we can all share this with ourselves. There we go. So this went really well last season, and the reason I say that is because I can't find the original spreadsheet, so we don't.
So we have no proof of how bad we were.
Nope.
We win by default.
Yes.
Fucking
no land void. No land void. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off from the bottom and work our way up, and basically we'll decide who gets relegated and then who is champions at the end. So, my 20th, I don't think this will come as a surprise, and I'm fairly sure you got a lot of are going to agree with me. West Brom.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we didn't mention them at all in the preamble, because there's literally nothing going on with that team.
You can stick that in my column as well, actually.
Yeah, it's actually extraordinary, like how little they care. I suppose they not care for trying. It's just like the transfer window is that bad for them. Like all they've been able to do is acquire the players they had last season, and even then they really did limp over the line. If it wasn't for the fact that Brentford were coming from so far out and bottled it on the last season, like West Brom would still be in the championship for me. Because I don't think they have the quality to even last it here. Like I can see them doing a Derby County and setting a record.
I don't think they'll do that, but I definitely think they'll go down. I mean, if you're going into a season where your biggest question is, should Callum Robinson start ahead of Charlie Austin? That's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
You're not in a good place if that's your overriding main question.
Just go home.
Exactly.
Just give walkovers, please.
Yeah, go home, West Brom. You're drunk.
Yeah, in fact, to my knowledge of the team is they do have Matias Pereira, who's their main outlet, but the rest of the team is really, really bad.
Same again, boys. Same again.
Yeah. It's just it's really terrible.
In all fairness, I think actually their main kind of mover and shaker will be actually Bilic himself. What he can get out of that team.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think he's a decent enough manager.
He's a very good manager. It's just he's been given shit.
Yeah, exactly. Burkbot, how about yourself for number 20?
I was going to go West Brom, but I'm going to go Leeds.
Oh, that's an interesting shout. What has you saying that? That's a hot take. That is a hot take.
I just, as we've remembered how much I hate Bamford, so yeah, that's why. Purely based on that.
You do realise they signed a player to replace Bamford?
Yeah, but he doesn't deserve to do any better. Even as the second choice striker.
Okay. Sensing a lot of bitterness here.
Purely just because of his stupid head.
Yeah, actually, erase Leeds on the PowerPoint. Just put in stupid head.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. I'll just have a comment in.
Stupid head.
And then,
I have West Brom as a close 19th.
Oh, yeah. Do that.
Yeah, that's fine because we'll jump in then in that case. So yeah, I've
yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say there that I actually have Aston Villa down to go down because for other bluster, okay, the signing Ollie Watkins is a good deal. The problem is though they spent 33 million on them, and I'm not saying he's not a 33 million player, but there's a fucking lot of pressure to put on a championship striker. He was really fucking good. He's very, very prolific. He was the top scorer last season. Second to Mitrovic. But even then, it's a lot. It's a big jump from the Championship to the Premier League. You actually have competent defenders, and you have competent tactics to go through and work through. And plus, I don't think Villa's problems are just stop standard with a new striker. They need a number 10 that's not Grealish. They need someone else to kind of to move the midfield around a bit faster. They might do that. I don't know. They're in talks with a lot of players. They also do need to get a goalkeeper, which I think is getting remedied as we speak with Emi Martinez. But even then, I think that's just when I see the other teams around them, I just can't see Villa competing unless they get a great escape like last season.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that there'll be other teams that'll be scrapping below. I don't see them going down, but again, that'll come back to me. And with my other hot take.
Ooh, tune in. How about yourself, Neil?
I have Fulham in 19th.
Fulham in 19th. Scott Parker's Fulham. How could you portray Scott Parker like this?
Quite fucking easily, as it turns out now, to be honest with you. Quite fucking easily. They've got good depth in their midfield, but that's pretty much it. I mean, Mitrovic is somewhat. I mean, Mitrovic is just. We've seen him in the Premier League and he couldn't gut it. You know. So like, I reckon a rinse and repeat, and they've no backup for him.
That is true.
So
yeah,
when he fails to cut said mustard, who else are they going to do it? Who else are they going to get to do it? You know. Man, like again, it's another really severely coach dependent team, and I don't think Scott Parker will be able to drag them past 17th.
Okay, interesting. We'll start with you then, Neil, for your 18th. Who do you think is going to complete this set of championship bound teams?
West Ham.
Oh,
yep.
Damn it!
Work well?
West Ham.
Clean sweep, lads. We've all got West Ham as 18th. I think they're definitely going down.
That is like literally the like hot take I think of this of right now, because my main story about it, I look at that defense. That's where I look. I mean, like the toothless up front pretty much. Although Antonio can't switch it on, he's a fucking super player. But no man, I can't. I look at that defense. What did he ship? Something like fucking 60 goals last season?
Something like that, yeah.
But like, Jesus Christ.
Fabianski, it just can't save them from this.
Yeah, no, like, they've dysfunctional. Their fullbacks in particular are fucking crap.
Yeah, that's their main problem.
I think because he's going to go with a back four. So, and that means Diop and Ogbonna in the centre. And Jesus Christ, like they're not speaking the same language. And it's terrible. Like I don't see where that's. Yeah, I see that defense getting him into so much trouble, and they don't have the firepower to get them out of it.
Yeah, like I see a lot of warning signs from West Ham in terms of what their objectives are this season. Because if they were really serious about this project of like making themselves a top 10 team, which like let's face it, since the Olympic Stadium move, it's been a fucking disaster every step of the way. They spent money and pretty much every sign they've had has failed.
Absolutely. I mean, only West Ham could make being given a stadium for free a disaster.
Yeah. It just made the club more soulless.
I don't want to like it. It's so shit because we didn't pay for it ourselves. Like it's like fuck off, enjoy the fucking stadium.
Yeah, you've got literally every Arsenal fan looking at you going, "You motherfuckers."
Spurs are going like, "Oh, Joe, don't have our beer taps."
We could have had a cheese room.
Arteta's our cheese room. Yeah, aren't they still? They're still paying off Pellegrini, aren't they?
Yeah,
he was on 7 million a year.
7 million a year, yeah. That's now you can figure out why they're trying to sell players, because the reality is that West Ham are fucking strapped for cash. The coronavirus is not helped matters, but like when you look at the players that are very big earners, like you've got like Felipe Anderson, Yarmolenko, fucking like Declan Rice signed a massive fucking deal as well. There's a lot of big earners there, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. The thing is that like they found it easy to shift the players that they kind of wanted to keep but weren't earning a whole lot, like Jimenez and Hugo. Like they're very solid players, but they weren't earning a whole lot.
No.
They were easy to shift them, but the players they want to get rid of, who are earning an awful lot of money, they can't get rid of.
Yes.
And you're like, oh fuck, you've been caught by the riptide there, the fucking wage bill riptide.
Very much
which
so.
Which I think is gonna kill Everton next season. But fuck it.
I have to say, like the FFP like relaxation has saved Everton here. Hence why they're now trying to chance their arm now and saying buy everyone, buy midfielders, just get them in, just get them in the fucking door. It doesn't matter. Just
can't
do
get
it.
Anybody else. They have to get people out the door. I read there the other day their wage to income ratio is 82%.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Oh my god!
And even at Barcelona, it's 65.
Yeah,
they're a fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah. And bear in mind, this is before they start building the new stadium.
Yeah, and then they have a stadium to build.
Oh, Christ. Right.
Yeah. So, my first survivor, if I suppose you can kind of guess from my 3 picks, is Scott Parker's Fulham. I watched a bit of Fulham last season, and the reason was that, like, I wanted to kind of assess, like, was Scott Parker, like, really that good? Because I thought the difference between like the Fulham that started the season last time in the Prem and then to the end were very, very different. And I think the reason was that like Jokanovic was a mentalist when it comes to attacking. He loved attacking football, just kept bombing forward, go, 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 but never shanked anything in defence. Kind of like Lampard in that sense. Ranieri tried to get something going, didn't really work out. The personnel wasn't there. And then Scott Parker made a lot of very big calls. Like he dropped Seri, he dropped Zambo Anguissa, and he put Colin Chambers in as a number 6, and the team worked perfectly. If Fulham, I think, pulled the trigger on Parker quicker, I think they would have still been in the Premier League. But that's just my opinion. I really do rate Scott Parker. I think what he does is, he's not necessarily a technically gifted coach, but what I think he does seem to have a good aspect on the mental side of the game. He has a mentality in that team where it is where they're trying to get back to where they were, and they're very physical side now as well. They're playing quite domineering, physical, fouling football, which suits the likes of Mitrovic and the midfield they have now in Kearney, Reid. They got Mario Lemina in from Fulham, or from Southampton, which could be a good signing. It's Fulham though, so I'm not too confident on that. And they are going to do a Fulham where they're just going to sign big names on loan and hope for the best. They've got
they bring back Berbatov.
It's so weird. Fulham are one of those teams where the manager wants to develop players. Scott Parker put his faith in a 22-year-old goalkeeper called Mark Rodak, and he was the best goalkeeper in the league statistically. But now then they signed Alphonse Areola from PSG. So what do you want? Do you want the big name, or do you want the player you developed yourself? Pick and choose. So it's that kind of conundrum they have. I understand they're in for Bertrand Traore from Lyon, which would be a fucking tidy enough signing for them as well. But they've got good players. They've got good wingers in Knockaert and Cavallero. So I think they might do stuff, but they are going to be a very pragmatic side. And I think that's what's going to save them, as opposed to being a free balling team. Just the fact that they are a little bit shithousey and a little bit digging in and so forth. We'll see how it goes. I think they do need a better defensive, though, in order to do that. But they kind of defend from the midfield, if that makes sense. They really dig in there. So they will bully teams at some points. But where they get results out of it, that's what needs to be discussed, I guess.
I actually agree with you, though. I think they'll just about survive.
Okay.
Villa as my 17th.
Aston Villa, okay. That's so are you kind of going for the same idea there, the kind of whatever kind of signings they made will just about save them, I
think they'll just do it again. They'll do that kind of fucking just skin their teeth relegation scrap evasion that they did last season. I don't see that team. That team's not improved in any real measurable form.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just think, and I think the only reason they'll get 17th is I think West Ham, Fulham, and West Brom are going to crash and fucking burn.
Fair enough. I suppose, Neil, then, you want to start us off then on 16th?
Palace.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, I forgot them, yeah.
They've needed to sign... They desperately needed goals. They desperately needed a striker. Eze is probably...
I'll go with that too. Just Crystal Palace in 16th, yeah.
Eze is a good shout. But I mean, they're going in for Batshuayi.
Batshuayi signed.
Yeah, Batshuayi signed. I'm what the fuck?
He's literally just another Benteke, isn't he? And it's just look how well that worked out for you.
Yeah.
Last time.
The argument that Palace need a striker was obvious. Everybody, a blind man, fucking Stevie Wonder could see it. But whether or not Batshuayi is that striker is absolutely not. No, I don't think so. And I don't think Eze is going to hit the ground running. But he's somehow Palace have managed to keep the core of a semi-decent team simply by overpricing them. So yeah, that's it. That's how I think they'll survive via market inflation.
Fantastic. Inflation saves the day, lads. It worked for Zimbabwe, it worked for us.
Absolutely.
Bertbot, what's your 15th?
Southampton.
Ooh, Ted Hastings, Southampton. Why are you going for? Why have you got him so low down?
Just they're boring. That's it. That's the reason.
Outstanding. They needs to go somewhere in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. How about yourself, Neil? What's your 15th?
My 15th is hang on, I kind of had it here. Hang on, because I did actually do this out. Actually, do yours first, because I have to try and find it on my fucking thing.
Well, I think a team that's going to get dragged into the relegation zone, relegation battle this season is going to be Burnley. They're in serious fucking trouble money wise, and they've let go of Hendrick, and they haven't replaced anyone decide to go for it. They're trying to get players from from relegated teams, and they can't afford them. Would you believe? I think they tried to get Adam Smith from Bournemouth, and money is not happening. So Dyche really has to dig in and try and get players in the door, and it's just not fucking happening. I'm sure they'll try and go for a loan market, but again, that remains to be seen if they can do it. I think Burnley are really going to struggle this season. I wouldn't be surprised to get relegated, to be honest, because it's going to be a slog for them, real slog.
I just think because they're one of those teams that's just so hard to break down. I just feel like they'll have that nitty gritty to stay up, and I don't think they're going to be down that far myself.
It does depend on how well Dyche does himself.
But I know that they. The thing is, if they're looking for 50 million, isn't it, for your man Tarkowski or whatever, that could save them. But then, and they should have replacements, because that seems like that's what they do. They're just a farm for big hardy boys. So there's just another one just waiting in the corner, trying to learn how to spell his name so he can sign autographs. But I don't know, I'd say they'd be all right, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. Have you found your number 15, Neil?
I have indeed. It's the other B. It's Brighton.
Okay, Brighton. Nice, wholesome Brighton.
Nice, wholesome.
In fairness, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just going to be good for them. They're not going to score a whole lot. They're not going to concede a whole lot. And then I think at the end of this season they're going to get pillaged, and they're going to go. They might go down next season.
Holy shit! Stop the fucking lights. Denise O'Sullivan liked my tweet.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I just tweeted out that I put her into my fantasy football team, and I took a 5-point hit to get her in, and she just liked it.
Oh, nice. Well done.
She's actually fangirling out here, lads. Would you believe that?
They're literally pink hearts. There are pink hearts hitting the screen as we speak. and Zoom doesn't do that.
No, Burpot's just turned into a fan cam almost immediately. Incredible. As we allow her to cool down, Neil, what's your 14th?
Burnley.
Burnley, yeah, okay, that seems like a solid shout as well.
That's where the thing. I wasn't sure which one of those was the right way round.
Yeah, that's fair.
So to go and double check. Yeah, I think Burnley, it's going to be another comfortable mid-table finish for them.
Yeah, same. Well, I think Southampton's going to be 14th here. I think this is where the relegation scrap ends. I think Southampton will be well clear of that trouble this season. I think in terms of the teams I can see getting relegated, it's that block of 6 there I just mentioned. But Southampton would be well safe. I think that's where the kind of the cutting off point of the upper mid card, if you like, in the league. Burpa, how about yourself?
I had Brighton there.
Brighton, okay, again, nice wholesome place for them. Happy little Brighton. So I suppose then, how about your 13th then, Burpa?
Again, I had this done out. I have West Ham. Sorry, no, I didn't have West Ham because I had Newcastle.
Newcastle, there we go. The other banter club. Yes. Yeah. So, again, that's a good spot. I actually have them 13th as well. Because I think they're going to be well safe of it. I think they're not going to be relegation candidates. They're just going to be a difficult team to play, and they get results out of it that way. So I'm going for 13th on that as well.
I've Southampton at 13th.
Okay, very nice, good stuff.
I have Villa 12th.
That's a hot take. I'm afraid to say I'm going to have to count that as your hot take. Explain yourself.
You've lost the ticket.
I like your man Watkins. I think he can do. I think he'd be. I was very much him and Han between putting him into my team for fantasy football, and there's like Arsenal were in for him, or like Arsenal scouts on Twitter were like putting up compilations and stuff. So like I just thought it was really interesting, his stats, and I think he's a good signing for Villa, and I think that's what they lacked last season. I know holding on to Grealish obviously makes this happen, but if they sell Grealish, I can't imagine it's going to be 12th. But just at the minute, there's no definite bids in for Grealish, so I'm assuming they're not going to get the money they want, so they won't sell him.
Fair enough. My 12th is the overlapping centre backs. I think this is a nice spot for them. It's not to say I don't think they're going to hit the heights as last time. I just think teams have got like their shit together better this season. And I think they will have a bit of a solution to just all this movement back and forth, which is basically just to lump the ball over them. Now, granted, I do like their signings. They've made some very clever ones in Bogle and Lowe from Derby, which were their fullbacks, ironically enough. So just signed them in a package deal.
Didn't they make Ampadu? Didn't they have him?
Ampadu is the other one I was going to mention there. Yeah, very shrewd signing.
That's the one I like. That's the one I like.
I think Sheffield are going to be a great loan club this season. I love it if Brewster goes there on loan. I think like that is actually no. I love if Brewster and Grujic go there on loan together because I think both of them could learn a lot in that team. Just about the movements, the transitions, because like there's going to be a few players that can't quite make the jump in the Liverpool team. They need to go to somewhere where they can learn that style of play a little bit more. Brighton's a great shout for that as well, but I think like Sheffield would be a great shout to go on loan to. They just seem like a great bunch of lads.
Wilder's a fantastic coach.
Yeah, he is. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
My 12th is Newcastle.
Yeah, very nice. Nice high spot for them. I think I'd be happy to see them 12th.
Yeah, I think that's solid. My 11th will be Sheffield, actually, that you mentioned. I quite like it. Really good, funny tweet I saw one time was due to the fact that there's no fans now, so everybody can hear everything, and Wilder was like screaming at his players. And one of the things he screamed out was, "That's 4 tackles we've missed. 4!" So I was like, any manager that's shouting that from the touchline, you just can't bet against them. Like,
no. A man who counts the tackles is a bad thing. Is a bad sign, isn't it? Like that's a micromanager, but it's a good thing though. It's a nice thing to have.
But I also think Musset and Sharp will click as well.
Maybe. I feel like they will get another striker in, and I think like my heart says Brewster. Like I think it's going to be him.
But they need
I put him back into my fantasy football team if he does go, because I actually quite like the look of that lad.
He's good. Like, that's why. Yeah, but that's why Liverpool Twitter is up in arms about the notion of us selling him, because like they don't want to let go of him, even with the buyout clause and all this shit. Like 25 million is great money, but like what we're losing potentially is like a Robbie Fowler or a Michael Owen. We can't. No, don't do that. We've never done it before. Don't start it now. My 11 is Brighton. Again, I think they're going to be a nice, decent package, nice team to watch in terms of football. And again, I think another nice team to go to for young players. Like if you have an Arsenal player, like you want to shift out, or a Chelsea or a Liverpool player, send them to Brighton, because I think they can learn the craft really well there. I do like Graham Potter as a coach. I think he's doing good stuff there. And overall, the club is run really well. Like I can't say anything further than that. Like it's just a nice Premier League team.
Also, they look after their women's team very well, and their women's team have Denise O'Sullivan playing for them, who just liked my tweet.
Yes, we noticed. Thanks for that. Denise, if you're listening, by the way, give us a shout and we'll have you on as a special interview.
Oh my God, I would not be able to cope.
No, we'll actually replace her with you.
Work back. You're dribbling on the mic again.
11.
You're dribbling on the mic again. You're dribbling on the mic.
It's very distracting. What's your 11th? One more time for the mic.
The Toffees. The Toffees.
Everton. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. That's a medium rare take, I think. I wouldn't be too surprised at that, in fairness. If it goes like,
well, it's one position higher than what they finished last season.
True. It's an improvement. You can't say further than that. So now,
that's the amount of difference James Rodriguez is going to make to them. One position.
That's the Ancelotti effect in a nutshell, isn't it? Okay, so now we're into the top 10. Bertbot, who has made the top half in your view?
Who do I have here? Burnley.
Burnley. Okay, so you think they're going to hold station this season? Okay, yeah. That's interesting.
Their whole firm.
Yes, very much so. I see what you did there. I am going to say Leeds as 10th. I think, again, I'm one of those people that hopes beyond hope that the Bielsa ball takes effect.
You're also looking at the spreadsheet you're typing out. You're also the only person ever who types out Leeds United.
I know. Why do I do that? Yeah, I know.
Chill the fuck out. Slow your roll.
Jesus Christ. Fine. Holy shit, man. I can't believe I'm getting chastised here.
Calm yourself.
Don't have a rack attack.
Go on. Give us your number 10, so.
My number 10 is the Everton.
Everton, okay. All right, fine. Yeah, good. And
I just don't think it's going to work out for them.
All right, good. I hope it doesn't. Are you ready for one of my hot takes, lads?
My 9 is, by the way, Leeds.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, that's a nice spot. See, Leeds, just Leeds. Are you happy now, right? Just Leeds, right? So, yeah, I think that's a good spot for Leeds as well. My hot take is 9th place is going to be Spurs.
Ooh.
I see Spurs going absolutely nowhere this season.
Well, see, it's all dependent on. To be honest with you, if the transfer window had ended, say, today or yesterday, like it did last season, or not I think the same day, but at the same time, I would fully agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really dependent on if they can get somebody in between now and next fucking month, because like. Desperately, if they can sign a good striker, they might go a bit higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
I have them in 8th.
Very dependent on that. Yeah, I think the reason I have them down this low is because first off,
linked with a good striker.
Yeah, because I don't think they'd want to sign to get them. I think to get them higher than 8th, like the striker would want to be like fucking world class, and they're just not going to be able. Like they don't have the pull of the women's team.
Yeah. As I say, you can't just like pluck Alex Morgan, like
you can't just bluff a fucking double World Cup winner into your fucking team,
Hey guys, it's Lewandowski. Hello. It's
sorry. You have the Spurs kit man walking out, going, "Sorry, is Messi spelt with 2 S's?
Is it a Y or an I? I thought it was I. I wasn't too sure. Yeah, like again, my personal take is that like they've just got so many matches to do this season, and they don't have the squad to do it. So they're either going to play really, really unpleasant football, which they are going to do anyway because it's Jose. But the sheer fact of like it's just going to be so attritional, and that team is just going to be decimated by injuries. Like you've got Kane, Laurie, Steyer, Alderweireld, players who get perennially injured. Like it's
most of those injuries don't really affect them, except for maybe Loris. I think the injury that will kick in that will really affect them is Son.
Yes, if Son gets injured, their season falls apart.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Bertball, what's your number 9?
I had Sheffield.
Sheffield, nice spot for them. Yeah, again, I'd be totally okay seeing Sheffield up that high. In that case, we'll stick with you, Bertball. What's your number 8?
Wolves.
Okay.
Actually, no, I have that wrong. Arsenal.
Arsenal 8th.
The fucking venom. The venom.
Yeah. Explain yourself.
I thought you said, wait a minute. I thought you said she'd run out of hot take tickets.
To be fair, she did burn it up with Aston Villa. That was too hot.
Basically, I don't hold any hope in this team because every time I give them any hope, they crush me. So, kind of was listening to a podcast the other day where it was going through the like XG stats and stuff like that, and
it's terrible.
It's so bad, and like we only have Aubameyang for goals. Willian might provide more goals, but I just can't see a brand new defense holding, like, being watertight. And when we only have Aubameyang to provide goals for us, I can see us having like a shit goal difference at the end of the season, and I just can't see us moving too far away from where we were last season. And yeah, I think 8th. Like, I'm not happy about it. I'm just saying that's what I see. I don't think any of the signings that we've made have been particularly amazing. Like,
interesting.
I'm not blown away by them at all. I don't think like it fixes anything that we need in the creativity area.
Neil is furious at this.
Right, you're to mute her now. Mute the bitch.
Slander.
Cut her mic. Oh yeah, I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm fully aware of how, like, most, like, quite a number of Arsenal fans feel that way. I don't, because I've been infected with the hope.
Okay, I hope it kills you, Neil. What's your number 8 then, incidentally?
My one was Spurs.
Spurs. Oh yes, you did say that, didn't you? Yeah, again, I can see that happening. Just Europa League's just going to kill teams this season, and that's why I have Leicester down as 8th. Like the problem is, like, okay, I would like to see Leicester prioritize the Europa League this season, because again, I think they're kind of in that Wolves position they were last season, where if they gave it a good shake, it is a very valid way of getting into the Champions League. If anything, it'll make this team quite legitimate by winning something like this.
Yeah, it will make the team legit.
Yeah.
I mean, if Adama Traore's arms don't already make them, like, sheer legit.
That's what I'm saying. Could you imagine, like,
watching those arms crush the Europa League trophy as he tries to hug it?
We can only hope. Or better yet, like, again, this season, you can have Vardy drinking Blue Wicked, Red Bull and vodka out of the Europa League trophy. That is a very...
Is the Europa League trophy those trophies you can drink out of?
No, it's closed, actually. They'll have to drill through it. He'll have like a straw.
He'll just sell it. No, he'll sell a cheap Wicked bottle to it. That's all he needs.
Yeah, that's what he'll do.
No,
yeah.
he'll just get Traore to punch the top of it in. He'll just fucking pour it out.
Yes,
then I have to grease him up to get him out of it again.
Greasy woman. So yeah, my 7th then, you might be shocked to hear, is Everton.
I am actually quite shocked to hear that you've got Everton at size. How do you have this team 5 places higher?
But relativity, right? That's why. Because they're not in Europe, right? They're not in Europe, and they're not for good reason. And ultimately, like I don't think they're going to do much in the cups either. Like, I see them like
for a reason.
For a reason, yeah. No, I agree. Like, this is the best their season gets is 7th. Like, they are. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like when I'm looking at Leicester and Spurs, their teams.
This is not logic.
Do you think Rodriguez is actually going to do something?
Absolutely not. No, like.
Then what are you basing this on? I don't understand.
Like, I'm basing this on the fact that, like, when you look at the teams that they have to go around, like Leicester and Spurs have to go to fucking arse ends of Europe this season. Everton don't. All they have to do is focus on 38 games, and that's it. That's the easy part.
It's always been their problem.
I know that's always been their problem, but, like, when you face it, like, when you're adding 12 matches onto a team that's already threadbare as it is, like Leicester, like Spurs, that's going to kill them in the league, whereas Everton can take advantage of that. That's the only thing they can take advantage of, because there's still such a massive ceiling between them and the top 6.
They're not going to be able to take advantage of it. How many seasons, right? It's been season after season after season of other teams around Everton, like, literally hacksawing their fucking ankles off.
Yeah.
And Everton have consistently failed to
do anything.
I'm not even wrong.
I don't see how this season is going to be anything.
Can I just point out, like, Iwobi did worse at Everton than he was at Arsenal.
Same with Walcott.
Like,
yeah,
the same. Well, I think that was expected, but, like, Iwobi went to get more game time at Everton, and and like improve on his shot to goal ratio. And no, all of his stats went downhill.
Yeah, like I'm so in a way this is like this is like the best they can get from my league. I just see them getting as far as 7th, and that's it. This is the maximum they can achieve.
All right, I've got two questions for that.
Right.
What do you want, and can I have some?
Long Way Cider, and no, we're not sponsored. Neil, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Leicester.
Leicester, yeah, that's fine. Like I'd be okay with Leicester 7th. How about yourself, Parker?
Yeah, I've Leicester 6th and Spuds in 7th.
Spuds in 7th. Okay, yeah. Again, they
just
seem to
compound my misery of 2020 and just continue that into 2021.
Absolutely. St. Patrick's Day has been cancelled yet again. My number 6 is Wolves.
Same here.
Yeah, I'd like to see them in the top 4. I just don't think they're there at the minute.
It'll depend if that Silva kid clicks.
Yeah, very dependent on that.
Holy fuck! Like they've like Jesus, they've got a wonder kid in the hand.
Yeah, I have Wolves in 4th.
Ooh, spoiler. Well, yeah. In fairness, yeah. I agree with you, Neil, in that sense. Like I think Fabio Silva is an unknown quantity in that sense. But we've seen players like Pedro Neto do fucking great, even though we'd never heard of them before. They've obviously got they clearly have Jorge Mendes going like sign him. So that doesn't really matter. I think the main thing for me is that like if they can get someone like a number 10 to like start like controlling the team a little bit in the central midfield ahead of Neves and Moutinho, I think they'd really kick on a gear a bit more. That's just the thing I think they're lacking. Whether they get them or not now is another story. But I think 6 is a good place for Wolves. I can see them doing decent in the cups as well. I think.
Yes, if you wanted to we won't do it now, but as an adjunct prediction, I would have Wolves maybe for the League Cup. Possibly. Although in fairness, Man City tends to have Bagsy on that for some reason. Exactly that. Yeah. My continuation. My 5th is the scum, Manchester United. Yeah, it's a curious one. I would kind of agree on that in the sense that I think that's a decent enough shout to make because it's hard to tell with obviously Van der Beek coming in, they've got the midfield and forward sorted. It's just defense. You can't really put your hat on. Defense goalkeeper, and I think their referee penalty money is going to run out. Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, Howard Webb isn't around as much. 14 fucking penalties. Actually, 16 in total. It was 14 in the league, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 in the Europa. Fuck, 16 penalties. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? That's the main reason why. By the way, that's the sole reason why so many fantasy football managers are picking Bruno Fernandes because he's now their designated penalty taker. Indeed, and they get so fucking many of them. Yeah, that's most of the people. I mean, he's a solid player. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. He's not going to rack up goals or assists except from the fucking penalty spot. That's the reason why most people are picking him. I've spoken to about maybe 10 to 15 people, all of them who have fantasy football teams, and not one of them have given me a reason for signing Bruno Fernandes to the team anything other than he's a designated penalty taker and they get all the penalties. Yeah, no, in fairness, it works. You can't say fairer than that. What about you, Burkboy? Who's your number 5? Oh, it's not fair. Who's going to miss the Champions League for you this season?
Man United.
Ah, interesting. But the same mindset. I presume you kind of have the same kind of thoughts as interesting. For me, this is
pretty much I think Solskjaer.
Go on ahead there.
Never mind.
She locked up again.
I know. I just think he's actually got his shit together.
Yeah. In fairness, and like I said, it's just a matter of just going the extra step. This is going to sound very odd when I'm saying this, but I think there is going to be a bit of a 5-horse race this season. Not necessarily for the title, but just for league position. I think there is going to be more teams kind of gate crashing the title party. Some teams are going to go on runs, some teams will go through slumps. I think this is the nature of the season. I do think the team that's going to miss out though is Arsenal. I think they're going to finish 5th. That's not to say they're not like much better than they were last season. They are a fucking completely different team. But as much of the point that you guys kind of made earlier on is that like it's just a bit lacking in goals. It's a bit lacking in kind of creativity, like a number 10. Once you kind of have that kind of pinned down, I suppose like you'd be better set. It's a work in progress, and it's definitely going the right way. But maybe next year, Arsenal, you'll see the real Arsenal, perhaps. Again, I could see you winning the FA Cup again because you seem to be one of the few teams in the world that cares about the FA Cup. So that counts for something.
Every team in the fucking league cares about the FA Cup. It's just that when they crash out of it, then they turn around and go, no, I don't care about the fucking FA Cup.
Oh, fuck off.
Where's my wank sock?
People don't appreciate the history anymore. These fuckers, I guarantee they've never even done a war.
Never even done a war.
Done a fucking war.
I wouldn't even mind, but it is still considered a major honour.
Yes, exactly, and rightfully should be. So Bertball, we heard already that you have Wolves down as a Champions League placement this season.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's we can all agree on your opinion there. I think Man United will get fourth again. I think they'll make the Champions League. Van der Beek is a good signing. That's as far as they're going to go, though, I think, because they don't have their defence in order at the minute.
Defence and goalkeeper.
Yeah.
In fourth, I've got Arsenal.
Yeah. You did allude to that. Yeah. You could do. It's going to be one of those things where it'll depend on how you get on with your rivals, which you have been doing quite well with. You've had wins against us. You've had wins against United and so forth. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Put City out of the FA Cup, and they were definitely going for that.
Yeah, very, very true.
Put Chelsea out in the final. They were definitely going for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
absolutely.
Like there's no way Lampard was passing up. Like Lampard knows the FA Cup. He knows, like he's a league boy, Premier League boy at heart. He like the FA Cup. He loves that shit.
Of course,
there's no way that like. Yeah. So that was it for him. He was going for that.
Yeah. In that case, Neil, we'll stick with you then for your third place. Who's your bronze medalist?
City. Oh no, sorry. Apologies. How did I yeah, Chelsea.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay.
Shit. I looked at the wrong spot there because we've got the table up in front of us. Yeah, Chelsea. I think they'll do third.
Okay, fine, no problem. How about yourself, Bertball?
Chelsea.
All right. Okay. Interesting. The reason I had that sharp intake of breath there, by the way, was that I thought that myself and Neil were agreeing.
Oh, you've got City in third.
I have Man City in third. I think there's something flawed in that City team. And curiously enough, it's not something money's fixing, because the two players who signed, Ferran Torres, great signing, very good squad player, very much like a Jesus Navas kind of mold. He'll do a job for them. Nathan Ake is a good signing, but it's not the sign they need. They need like 2 or 3 more players like that to sort out that defense.
Yeah, the defense is crocked, isn't it?
I think, was it Jonathan Wilson from The Guardian who described Man City as having a glass jaw, and that's exactly what they have. And the problem is that that's not coming from the players, in my opinion. That's coming from how they're set up tactically. That's coming from Pep Guardiola. And if you ask me, like that situation is not getting better. That's getting worse.
Yeah, they've a glass jaw in a league full of actual heavy hitters. Like everybody's kind of like a glass cannon. Like a lot of the teams here, not really a whole lot of them have what we would consider to be a solid defense. All of them, however, are top heavy. Now there are teams. The teams down the bottom. The reason why they're down the bottom is because they got neither. Yeah,
this is it. Like you're great or there. Like it's one or the other. Like
exactly, and the people who are both hands down, they're going out. So yeah, like I get what he's saying with that. I don't necessarily fully agree, but no, I definitely get that. Yeah, like they can be gotten at. I think. Yeah,
and specifically Pep can be gotten at as well. Pep himself can be.
I think actually, funny enough, I actually think it was Wilson as well, because with his propensity to overthink Champions League matches, it was either him or Barry Rooney in The Guardian or something like that, who said that he lives for the day where Pep will overthink a Champions League game so badly that he winds up looping back around to actually playing his normal team and fucking winning it.
We can only dream. We can only dream.
But yeah, like No, I get what you're coming from with that. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I see why third, particularly with Aguero with not being the force that he is, or that he was. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think somebody pointed out that like Aguero's literally never been cheaper on the fantasy football than he.
Yeah, he's very much declined because I think they reckon he might not be first choice this season, which I don't think is true. I think Guardiola's still gonna.
Oh no, fuck man! In all fairness, like Aguero, like if you've got a guy with the ball in the box, there's very few people outside of Sergio Aguero that you would want to be that guy.
Yeah, precisely.
I think maybe Aubameyang, but again, like in fantasy football, he's for some weird reason not classed as a forward.
Yeah, he's a midfielder.
Yeah, it's just to make the game crueler, I think. So Bertbot, then we'll end your table first. Who do you have runner up, and who do you have winner?
Don't mind me.
Kind of going against the grain here. I have City first and Liverpool second.
Interesting. Okay. Is there any kind of major thought process in that, or do you think it's just a pick-em?
You can paste that into my one as well.
Okay, fine.
Oh,
yeah.
My reasoning behind it is that your ego will go through the roof if they win, and I don't think I could handle that, so I just end it.
Did we not have the same conversation last year?
No fucking sauce.
Yeah,
now you have to bring extra chips.
I never say this when Arsenal win a fucking anything. Wow, it's just this.
Sorry, Community Shield, you were fucking raging. Ruined our Pokemon podcast.
Oh, that is.
I love our crossover episodes.
Yes. Okay, fair enough. Like I can see that maybe a bit of a pick-em. It's kind of down to.
I have a somewhat less personally offensive take on that.
Far less personal, I hope.
Yeah. I think you're kind of gonna burn out. But obviously not burn out so badly, because that team is just like, I am literally wet with jealousy at the stock of talent there. But I mean, Minamino is going to be a great signing. He's going to revive all the Pokemon goal celebration gifts for this season, and I'm so fucking happy about that.
Excellent, yes.
But I think you need a season to click. The Premier League is unlike any other. It's so rare for a player to just fucking swan in and go, oh yeah, I can deal with this. It's not. It's a league that with an intensity unlike any other. So I don't know. Maybe like with reinforcements next year, he's going to be a super brilliant player for you. But now it's his debut season. He's not going to be that much of a fucking.
He won't be a starter anyway.
He's not going to be a starter. He's not going to be a starter, and he's not going to be that much of a force for you.
Yeah,
and there is a degree of people kind of having sussed out kind of how Klopp likes to play his team. And given that you've not really altered the personnel that much, you know, I'm like, don't get me wrong, as an engineer, I'm fully wedded to if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But to be honest with you, there's lots of other people who are trying to fix this.
Yes.
And they're going to break it. They're not going to break it so much that you're going to drop below second. I don't think anybody else has that skill. And Chelsea have far too many people in, and a coach that just won't be able to utilise the obscene wealth of options that will be at his fingertips. And Arsenal just aren't at that level yet. So yeah, that's the reason why I think.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
definitely not. My point of view.
No, it's not. You're from a far more bitter point of view, Little Miss Arsenal 8. Fucking get over yourself.
There's actual lemon peel coming out of the camera.
Yeah, this is it. Like, I actually taste the salt off what she was saying there. Yeah. So if for curious enough, like your kind of logic is what leads to my top two as well, Neil. I have Chelsea second, and I have Liverpool first. And again, the burnout is kind of the main kind of theme of this season, I think, because yeah, I agree. I think the Liverpool team are suffering from a bit of burnout. From the match I've seen in pre-season, I haven't been majorly impressed. Like the Salzburg game was a bit of a toil. We were 2-0 to Blackpool until we came back in the second half. And the Community Shield did not fill me with great confidence either. But then again, we were like this last season as well. With we got thrashed by Napoli, and we didn't do great in the Community Shield either, and we came out swinging. So I think we will be okay once the season starts. But much to your point, like, I do think a lot of teams will now have an answer to us, because I've noticed in the 2 Arsenal games that Arsenal's tactics has us sussed completely. Low block, smother the midfield, and then don't let the 3 players basically breed up front. For what it's worth, though, I do think in the end we will sign Thiago. I think that will happen eventually.
Again, like that.
It is if though.
This prediction being this kind of early, well, not this being this kind of early, this transfer season being so elongated, kind of lends that. I think if you get Thiago, oh shit, yeah, it might be worth revisiting this maybe when the transfer
window closes. Yeah, potentially, it would be a very good shout. I do, in a sense, I actually do quite agree with you in terms of like with the main team suffering with a burnout. I think it's gonna be a massive season for the fringe players. Like, we are gonna need massive like efforts from Keita and Minamino in particular. I've seen a lot of great stuff about Minamino in preseason. He's been by far the best player from what I've seen.
No, he's capable of that, but he still needs a season.
Like, absolutely. No, I'm not disagreeing with you in that sense.
No doubt he's going to put in his maximum effort. I don't think I think Klopp is great at picking players who are not capable of giving less than 110%. It's just that his 110% right now, it's just not what the league is going to, like, it's not going to cut it in the Premier League right now. It'll cut it next season for fucking sure.
Definitely, absolutely. And even then, over to that point, like, yes, the Liverpool team will suffer a bit of burnout, but every top team in this league has flaws. You know, like Chelsea, like, have a superb attack but terrible defense. Man City have that glass jaw we were talking about. Like, again, now, granted, Man City could very well come back out swinging because they do have the best team on paper. There's no denying that.
Oh yeah, on paper, yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness, like, it's the embarrassment of wealth that they have. But it's just the fact that if they can be there consistent week in, week out, which they weren't last season. They did lose 9 games, which is shocking for them, you know. Again, like Man United, Arsenal, like all these teams, they have like issues and not 100%. Liverpool is the closest to a complete package in the league at the minute. And in fairness, like if there is a season for a surprise team to come in and win the league like Leicester did, it'll be this season, because like these top 6 are here for the taking. So
I don't see that happening, but I totally get it. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, again, it depends. I feel like we are going to try and keep our players in bubble wrap. We're going to try and just conserve and be pragmatic like we did last season, because that did work. Unfortunately, we did get lucky like a lot of times last season, and I feel like it could be the same here. I would like us to play a lot more open football, a lot more exciting football, but I just don't think we're that kind of team anymore. I think we play a lot more pragmatically and patiently and keep the ball and control things. Whereas like the great entertainers of the league will be Chelsea or Man City or fucking like Leeds. You know, like, some teams gotta do fun. We're just gonna be boring serial winners, you know. Which I suppose is not a bad thing in that sense. It means we just retain, but like, it's whatever way you want to look at the Liverpool team. I do agree with you in that, like, we do need at least one player to come in just to revitalize the squad. If it's Thiago or Sarr, I'm okay. Just one. The problem is that with the mechanics of everything, we have to sell first to buy, and that's what the frustrating thing is at the
absolutely minute. Absolutely. But I do look forward to...
I just want to put... Mm-hmm. I think as well as the whole, you know, not wanting you to be happy, Jonathan, Liverpool don't deserve to win the league and have their women's team get relegated. I'm going to never let that like, I'm never going to forget that. I'm never going to let you forget that your team abandoned the women's team to go play and draw against Durham in the FAWSL 2.
To be fair, we were winning for most of that game. Like, we were leading. We were the better team. We just...
but you didn't do it, did you?
No, we didn't do it because, look, these things happen. It's football.
But in any case, to keep this a nice lovely in-joke for us that most listeners won't get, I look forward to the bum fight that will be the Premier League.
Absolutely. It is going to be... It is going to be a hobo fight at best, isn't it? Like, it's going to be a good fucking scrap outside fucking Merchant's Quay, isn't it? Like, it's just...
really is.
Like genuinely, if there is a season for fucking Crystal Palace to win the Premier League, it's this. Like literally, someone's going to sneak in and win it.
Yeah, they'll be the equivalent of just throwing a load of electrified punching gloves out of them. Hello, game changer.
Precisely. So, guys, that is our season preview wrapped up in a nutshell. Two of us think Man City's going to win. I obviously am playing favourites here, but we'll see. Again, it's a pick-em, lads. It could be anybody at this point. So thank you for listening. Hopefully you've watched or listened to this just before the season starts in about 15 hours time. Fuck me. Quite literally 15 hours time.
Literally in 15 hours time, yeah.
I don't know why I'm so excited. It's like fucking Christmas or something. I don't know, man. It's great. You love to see it. You love to see it. Anyway, thank you for listening, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you again about football. We are, again, I can confirm we're doing this. At least we'll aim to do this every single week. Much smaller shows, thankfully. There's only so much football we can talk about. So we'll see you next week for more of the same. Give us a subscribe on our Spotify.
Smash that link button. Smash the like button.
Please do. We'll see you next week. If you're listening to this on the Nerds of Rust,
tweet like Denise O'Sullivan liked mine.
Oh God, I hate when she drinks. So perhaps you're watching this on the Nerds.
This is why you should never pay her attention.
Yeah, exactly. This is how you get ants. Crazy drunken ants. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. We'll see you next week for more of the same. Until then, that was a good football.
Woo!
Good night.
Night.